Running object snap modes ensure that whenever the cursor is placed near a particular type of object, the cursor will search and try to find that snap type on the geometry. Running object snap modes are set from the status bar. If you right-click on the Object Snap button on the status bar, you can then click to select a running object snap from the shortcut menu. Any object snap that appears in this list with a blue rectangle around its icon is a running object snap mode that is currently active. For example, notice that the endpoint, midpoint, and parallel are running object snap modes that are already active. If you would like to quickly deselect one of the current running object snap modes or select a new one to enable it, simply place your cursor on that item and click. The shortcut menu will disappear, but if you right-click again on the Object Snap button on the status bar, you can clearly see that the endpoint running object snap is no longer active. If I click on Center, when I right-click on the button, I can see that the Center running object snap is now active. In the shortcut menu, I can now see that the midpoint, center, and parallel running object snaps are active. If you'd like to toggle on or off several running object snap modes at a time, choose Settings from this shortcut menu to display the Object Snap tab of the Drafting Settings dialog. On this tab, you can toggle on and off as many or as few running object snap modes as you wish by selecting or clearing the associated checkboxes. You can even toggle them all on by clicking the Select All button, or toggle them all off by clicking the Clear All button. Sometimes it may be easier to toggle off all of the running object snaps and then select just those that you want toggled on at a particular time. You may be tempted to toggle on all of the running object snaps, but this is generally not a good idea because this can often cause conflicts. For example, if you toggle on Center, Quadrant, and Tangent, AutoCAD will find many different snap points on arcs and circles, and this can become confusing because the geometry may not snap to the point you intended. So it's better to toggle on the modes that you use most frequently. In this case, I've toggled on Endpoint and Midpoint. Also note that in order for running object snaps to be active, the Object Snap On checkbox must also be selected. You can toggle this on and off using the Object Snap button on the status bar or by pressing the F3 key. The snap modes that you select here in the dialog box simply determine which object snap modes will be active as running object snaps when this checkbox is selected. So again, after choosing which object snap modes you want to use, you can toggle on and off the running object snap by clicking the Object Snap button on the status bar. Click once to toggle running object snap off. Click again to toggle it on. Now let's look at a basic example. I want to create a new line that goes from this end of this line segment to this end of this line segment. I'll start the line command by clicking the Line tool in the Draw panel of the Home ribbon tab, and then move the cursor into the drawing. Note that in the status bar, the running object snap is turned on. When I move the cursor over the line segment near its end, AutoCAD shows me an icon or glyph, as well as a tooltip, letting me know that it has found the endpoint of the line. Notice that I don't need to place the cursor exactly at the end of the line. In fact, in most cases, I tell people not to put the cursor directly on the endpoint. Just move it near the object. AutoCAD will find the proper geometry based on the object snap modes that you selected for the running object snap modes. By positioning the cursor slightly away from the actual location on the geometry you're snapping to, it's easier to see that the proper location has been selected. Once you see the glyph and tooltip, click using the left mouse button. Notice that AutoCAD has found the end of the line segment. I'll move my cursor near the end of the other line segment. Again, I like to move my cursor near rather than directly onto the point I'm trying to snap to. That way, I can see that AutoCAD has really snapped to the proper geometry. Once I see the glyph over the point I want to snap to, click to select that point. I'll press Enter to end the line command, and then press the space bar to start the line command again. This time I'll demonstrate creating geometry between the midpoints of these line segments. Remember that I also selected the midpoint as one of the running object snap modes. So when I move the cursor near the midpoint of the line, I see a midpoint glyph and a tooltip that tells me that AutoCAD has found the midpoint of the line. You're probably asking, how does AutoCAD differentiate between finding the midpoint of the line and the end point of the line? It depends what your cursor is closest to. Notice that as I move the cursor closer to the end of the line, AutoCAD finds the end point. As I move the cursor closer to the middle of the line, it finds the midpoint. If I'm just slightly closer to one or the other, the glyph and tooltip change. Also note that you don't have to wait for the tooltip to become visible before you click to select the point. As soon as you see the glyph, AutoCAD has found the geometry, and you can click to select it. When you see the glyph, click to select. When you see the glyph, click to select.